The following is a fan-based discussion. All materials discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, and Saban Entertainment.
TokuTalk.
Yay! Everybody, welcome back to TokuTalk. Today, by special request, we are going to be talking about Sixth Rangers.
Yes. I didn't think we were going to be doing this one after we did our Sixth Ranger list. But I guess there are some things to talk about when it ends up coming to how they've actually impacted the show themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds interesting. Sure, why not? Yeah. So, Sixth Rangers, as a whole, I don't mind them when they show up for the appropriate reason. Or they end up having some story plot behind them where they end up showing up for. Like, they sort of did, Zyuohger, and of course they did Die Ranger. Zero Ranger especially.
Gokaiger, I would say, is a good one.
Well,
For me, Gokaiger, I think, might be the best implementation of a Sixth Ranger plot-wise.
How so?
How so? Because Guy is a Super Sentai fanboy. The ultimate goal of the Gokaigers is to find the legendary Super Sentai treasures, and the clues that they are left, he is able to decipher them because he knows the stuff.
I mean, yeah.
That's why it works for me.
Yeah.
But again, that's just me.
Yeah, I'm a much bigger fan of, even though I don't like this show like at all, except for a couple of things.
Yeah.
Burai is a great...
Burai, the first official Sixth Ranger.
Yes. Of course, we do have two prototype ones beforehand.
And I want to talk about them. The first one, I forgot this guy even existed, but Shota Yamamori, the Magna Warrior from Bioman.
Yes, he was in one episode.
Well, two.
Well, yeah.
35 and 36.
He shows up, and I don't think really ends up transforming until the second episode. Or at the end of the first one, at least. I don't mind his character.
I like that suit.
Yeah, the suit is actually
pretty cool suit.
It doesn't look like anything we've ever actually really seen before, except maybe something.
It doesn't look like the Bioman suit, does it?
At all. It looks something like maybe close to... really nothing. It looks closer to the Dynaman suits in their helmet. But yeah, it doesn't really like... maybe like a Metal Hero.
Yeah, it looks a little more Metal Hero-ish.
But yeah, I still really like it. I like the suit. I like the way that he was introduced. But I feel like they did a little bit better with X1 Mask. Now the whole thing behind...
Asuka.
Yeah, the whole thing behind X1 Mask...
Was he not the first Green Ranger, but the first Green Sixth, technically.
Yeah. The whole thing behind him is the fact that his costume is based on the prototype that they were going to end up using for the Mask Man suits.
Right.
And I like the fact that they still end up using their prototype and haven't used it yet because, lips don't do it. But yeah, I still like the way that they, brought him in. He was originally previous.
Back when it was going to be the Five-Man.
Yeah. And he was originally going to be like a previous iteration of the Masked Man. And that didn't work out. A whole bunch of people started getting killed and everything. Then he left and came back, lost his powers. But I still like that whole arc. Yeah, he was only there for like an episode.
It was one episode.
Yeah, but I still really like that episode.
One of the few interesting things in Masked Man.
Yeah.
There's not a lot.
Yeah. Besides
Yellow Mask is the other one.
And Blue fighting out of suit.
Yes.
But yeah, those are like our two prototypes that we end up getting as a lead up to Burai and Z Ranger, who ends up getting basically the entire show focused on him for quite some time. And he's, the first Sixth Ranger also died.
He really impacts the show. He was the first one, well, not the first one to die.
No.
But the first Sixth Ranger too.
Yeah. And, it was really interesting because I can't even picture the people who back then, didn't really have that much access to the internet by this point. And then we end up getting something like this, and it's just like comes out of nowhere with a whole new, bringing something really new to the show, to the series itself with the Sixth Ranger. And I like the fact they ended up doing that with his character.
They have that, the fact that he was related to the Red Ranger.
Yeah, we'll talk about that again in a second. But, yes, I really like the way that they ended up bringing him in and actually giving him main focus for the actual story. He was really powerful. He stayed really powerful up until the time that he ended up dying.
And also used really well in Power Rangers, I thought.
Yes. Ko, as you all know, we ended up having a problem with him.
Who I thought was used much better in Power Rangers.
Yes. But his plot wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
The whole thing with his mother and the fact that we end up finding out later on that his father is, one of the captains of the Gorma.
Yeah.
And everything. That was a really, really good way to just actually end up tying everything together with this one character. They sort of were going to end up doing that with Rio, though, and dropped that because his father was a general of the Gorma as well, that in like episode 7 or 8 or 9 or something. And they end up dropping that entire plot point. You think they would end up doing something a little bit more with that, but I think the show was still coming together.
Yeah.
But I feel like to bring something in that in you sort of had to run with it. And they really didn't. Because they could have made a much more interesting dynamic between Rio and Ko, two of the characters who don't end up really interacting very much with each other. Riki.
Can we just move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Yusaku.
Great character.
We like Yusaku a lot.
He was funny, he was really smart. He wasn't there a lot, and they gave him a reason to because the suit only had, so much time before they get into being in it. He was, one of the head scientists at INET, and he wasn't, supposed to be on Earth, but that just kept happening because he doesn't give a shit. I really like this character, though. He's one of my favorite Six Rangers, just because his personality was fun. I like to see him fight, and, him at the end of the show was also really good, helping out the Mega Rangers and everybody else. Really great character. I really loved him.
And I liked how it was a mentor who eventually started fighting alongside them.
Yeah.
That was a cool dynamic.
Naoto. Our second Six Ranger today. His whole arc was really good. And they gave him, they introduced him really late. Like in episode 27 through 30 or so. Within those episodes, I can't really remember right off the top of my head. But the way they ended up introducing him and actually giving him a very prevalent backstory and gave him motivation and things like that, great character. Like they did so much and they didn't have as much time with him as we do with a lot more of the more recent Six Rangers.
Yeah.
But they gave him just so much, remembering his character just because of the way that they brought him in. They gave him things to do. Instead of just being, part of the team full time, like a lot more of the recent modern Sentai, he was a lot more with another faction, and that really does something for his character. And I like that a lot. We just talked about Gal Silver.
Well,
he had a bit of a storyline though.
The Roki arc, not bad.
Yeah.
One of the sole bright spots of Gal Ranger.
There were 3 of them.
You saw how talkative I was during the in comparison.
2 of them were mechs.
Because Gal Ranger is a thing. And
we're not going to go back to that now.
Let's just move on to
he's a good character.
Let's move on to what's his name? Shurikenger.
Played by Kenji Oba.
At one point.
Played by Shishi Ranger.
Played by a little kid, I think, at one point.
Played by a little kid in Singer's After Special.
Yeah.
He was so funny, though. I love the fact that he was like, I'm the ninja! And that was his entire thing. It's just such English, but you believe it.
Yeah. So much English.
But yeah, his character was really fun. I really liked his arc, and I can't wait until we get to watch Hurricane again. Just because
next Super Sentai on the docket.
Yep, and I'm so excited.
I love this guy's suit.
Yeah,
I like the baseball. I love dropping the weights.
The microphone.
Yeah,
he's just
microphone, but it's supposed to be weights.
He was just so much fun. I think that says a lot about his character. He was a legitimately fun character. Says so much about him.
Also, he's Kenji Oba.
Yes.
At one point.
Yes. Whenever you're Kenji Oba,
Kenji Oba gives you 1 billion more points in our book.
It's very true. But moving on. Ooh, Aberrate Killer.
Aberrate Killer, one of the better ones.
I missed this. And I say this because I should have said this with Uri as well. I missed when we end up getting antagonistic Six Rangers and they stay that way for a while.
Yeah.
They sort of did that with...
Urai was a bad guy for a while.
Yeah. And with Mikoto, it's just he was, and he basically stayed that way until legitimately the very end of the show.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Aba Ranger yet, so I'm very excited to actually see what more of his motivations are than by just being evil. And then coming back and the Deca Ranger team up. He's like, I brought back the most evil...
I was supposed to summon the strongest warrior from hell. You did. It is me.
And I'm sitting here oh, you can't be this great. And then you were the entire time. Yep. But yeah, I really like the fact that, and I missed this, I missed the fact that we haven't really gotten that much of an antagonistic Six that stays that way for quite some time. The world did it for a few episodes. Yeah. And then we ended up finding out that was mind control. And that got broken. But with Mikoto, I really like the fact that this was... His primary motivation was just to be an antagonist throughout the entire thing. And that's so good. I missed it. I want them to bring that back. I don't want the Sixth Ranger to always be, an immediate part of the team or something like that. Or even really in the World's case with Misao, it's just he had the whole thing with his personality, which, as you said, he's our top Sixth Ranger for a reason. But, yeah, it's just Mikoto was just great, and I really want them to bring back the antagonistic Six who does it for his own motivation. Yeah. Then instead of being it for mind control reasons.
There's always next season.
Yeah, it's true. Tech on Oh, God.
One of Marcus's favorites.
I love Decker Bright.
We need someone to dress up. I volunteer as tribute.
He was so much fun. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I can't wait until we get to watch Decker Ranger again. It's one of my favorite shows personally. And Tekon was just
He's a private detective.
he was Special Forces.
Special Forces, that's what. Which one was the private detective? Was that him?
No,
Wasn't it?
mm-mm.
Yeah, thinking of something else.
You're thinking of W.
That too.
Yeah, Tekon came in. He was Special Forces. He was sort of standoffish at first, but after a little while, you get it because he's the fact he's nervous working with these other people who he's heard a lot about by now.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also just really funny. Nonsense. I love that. I thought that was like the best thing ever because he always did it with like a little thing of his head, and I'm sitting here like, all right.
I want to be that.
But yeah, Tekon was great. Oh my god, I cannot wait until we get to watch Decker Ranger again. I am so excited.
We're pretty close.
Yeah, we got a little bit, but man, I'm excited.
Two to get through before that, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I got a couple of shows, couple of riders, couple of alternate. But yeah, Tekon was great. Oh, so much fun. And I cannot wait to watch it again.
Heavenly Saint Sunjel.
Oh god, I don't
from
remember.
Magi Ranger.
He wasn't that interesting.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Eiji Takaoka.
He had a lot
Oak and Silver.
to do with his actual character because he was originally one of the monsters at one point where he had monster blood in him, and he was originally like a wandering monk, more or less, which is
Baldkin Silver.
Baldkin Silver. But yeah,
when he showed up later as Fury Gray.
Was great. I really liked his character. I really liked the arc that they gave him.
I like the suit.
I really like the suit. I love the dynamic they gave him with Akashi, who we spent most of his time around.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really like, how they ended up handling his character and just what they ended up giving him. Great character. Great character. So we have the Suto.
The Suto siblings, Hiroto and Mio.
Yes.
Our first female Sixth Ranger.
Yes.
Something noteworthy.
And, first female Silver. Just in that. And I think she's the only one we've had so far.
The only one.
Yep. But yeah, it's just between the two of them, like, they were super serious. Miu had that whole thing where she ended up singing that song later. I don't like Go Laundry. But yeah, it's just I like the fact that we ended up getting a little bit more of an interesting dynamic where we got Gold and Silver at the same time for the first time. And it worked so well because they made them siblings and they were the super serious ones who didn't end up really working with the Go Wanderers so much at the beginning. They did later on. But yeah, I like her character. I like both of their characters. Gold a lot more because it was originally Gold Zubby.
Zubby.
Yeah, his actor was. And I like them. I like them both quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Surprising. Because I know you hate Go Under so much.
I hate it with a passion. It's like ninja territory for that, but they were a good point of that show.
Okay. Moving on, we have Ginza, Shinken Gold.
Fun. That's what I think about when I end up coming to Ginza. It's like loud fun and fish. A lot of fish.
Loud fish.
Loud fish.
Loud fish.
He's a loud fish.
Okay.
But I like the fact that he was a lot more inventive. Like he came up with his own changer by himself using an electronic form of Mojikata, and that really ends up helping a lot more for his character. Because if you couldn't tell, his visor is a lot more jagged, like it has sharp edges on it, and the ones for the actual rest of the Shinkenger is all because they're written
because it's
rounded at the edges, and I like the fact they made that distinction. In the
is it kanji or katakana or?
Yeah, it's kanji.
Okay.
Because it's the character for fire and light and such.
You can read Japanese, so what?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, I love what they ended up doing to make that much of a distinction between these two.
Yeah.
And that's great. I also just really like his character. I thought he was just so much fun. I'm glad when we end up getting to watch Shinkenger again. It's a great show. It's been a while since I watched it. I haven't watched it since college. So it'll be a good one to watch again. Gosei Knight. He existed.
Move on. Yokai Silver. Daikari. My absolute favorite Sixth Ranger. He's a Super Sentai fanboy. He's one of us. As I said earlier, I think he's the one who was best implemented in the plot because of his connection to Super Sentai and the way he was able to help the team find the treasures. I love this character so much.
He's a little bit too over the top.
He is over the top, but considering how everyone else is not over the top, it balances out well. I think it works.
Yeah. So we have
But moving on to Go Busters.
Yes, we have Masato Jin and
BJ Stagg. BJ Stagg in particular.
So
we are big fans
so
of.
Good. He's so great. He's the best. He's just so good.
And if I can give a quick shout out, Hammermeister 1999. I hope the writing is going well.
Yes. Pete. Jay is just fun. He is hilarious. He's so...
He is the guardian of the forest.
Yes, he is the guardian of the forest.
Guardian of the broom.
And Jin, I love their dynamic.
Yes.
But yeah, that's like the best thing about the two of them. It's just like Jin's really funny, but Jay just like takes them sort of to a whole nother level. I always love the fact that whenever Jay got in front of him, he pushed him out of the way. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Jin cursed quite a bit in that show.
Yeah.
And so did
I mean, it is a different country. They have different standards, and sometimes a character saying one word might be translated a little differently than if it were someone else.
No, he said the legitimate English word shit.
But there's also that.
He said like 3 or 4 times in the show. I also really like his actor. He's so much better than he was in Magic Ranger. Remember that?
No, not really.
The nothing that was that? Yeah. Utsumimaru. Kyoryu Gold. I feel like they were sort of trying to do the same thing with him that they were doing with Eiji. But because of the fact that this show is also called King Ranger, they couldn't do as much with him as they possibly could have. Like, yeah, they gave him that final moment where he beat the gold at the end. Mm-hmm. But they couldn't end up really focusing on him. He didn't really end up being with the other Kyojins at the beginning. Yep. Because it's just like, it's really awkward. He didn't feel like he fit in.
If I could ask you, what do you think is the 6th Ranger who came in too late in their show?
Timefire.
Timefire?
Well, yeah. Because they sort of rushed his plot a little. Like, they gave him a lot.
As good as the plot was, they rushed it.
Yeah, because he didn't come in until really, really late. So, yeah, it didn't work as well for him.
And which one do you think came in too soon?
Ooh.
In the story?
Ooh.
I can tell you who I didn't think came in soon enough. Yep. That's Akira. Our next one.
Yeah.
Because before he shows up, it's a long stretch of episodes that are just really not good.
Yeah, I mean... Kingi,
and then he shows up and the story finally starts to get interesting.
And he was just a great character.
He was a great character.
And that whole thing with the one that, as you said, the one that came in too early, Kingi, Star Ninja, he just came in too early.
And that's our next one, Kingi.
But we have not finished talking about Akira, because he had a great story arc.
Yes, he did.
He was a monster. He always wanted to die.
He's looking for the perfect place to die.
This is where he wanted to die.
Plays mean harmonica.
Yeah, and he's a really good character. I liked Akira quite a bit. And there is some fan speculation that he had something going on with T-Shirt Shadow. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Okay. And I was like, I sort of see it. And that whole thing where T-Shirt Shadow died was depressing. It was like, no! And like, it's really weird because that monster was only there for like a couple of minutes. And they just came in and just like, wow, I actually feel something for this character and he's dead. All right.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah. Akira was a really good character. I think he was the reason I stuck with because I don't really like Tokucast that much until the very end. Outside of Tokucast.
I think once he showed up, the show improved significantly for me.
Yeah. Akira was a really, really good character. But moving on to someone who's also not a bad character, Kingi. Kingi is not a bad character. He got an actual...
I'm so shocked.
Like, the only things
I hate Ninja, you hate Go-Under with, like, a vengeance that would befit the Old Testament. And you think he's not a bad character. Wow.
He had quite a bit of a story. The whole thing with his family and him turning, almost into a demon with that whole part. Like, he and Kasumi were, like, the only things I really like about this show. Mm-hmm. Kenji's not bad. Once again, there's the red, which is the problem.
He's not Sagaharu.
Yeah. And Kingi had a pretty good storyline. The whole thing with QAnon wasn't bad. He was sort of one of the other highlights of this show. I can't say that a lot about it. Like, it was just really these two characters, but at the end, they still end up being put to the back seat because Sagaharu. But yeah. Kinji's not bad, though. I quite like him. Misao Mondo. Mondo's the word for something. World. Doing it again. But yeah. He was at the top of our 6 Ranger list for a reason. His personality and his whole journey through the show with his personality was really interesting. You don't end up getting to see a character who's so down on himself.
Him and Gokai Silver maybe the world a little bit more. They feel like normal people.
Yeah.
They feel like people that I believe you were a normal person.
I mean, yeah.
Who has these extraordinary powers.
Of course, they're like caricatures.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're also believable at the same time. And Misao is just very interesting. People don't like him, and I understand why, but it's just like, I really like the fact that it gave him more than just being the Sixth Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I like the fact they gave him such a gigantic, personality flaw that really ends up impacting him a couple times throughout the series. He got better, and that, makes... I still remember that whole scene where he was just like, you think I like the way that I am? I hate myself. And I was just like, okay. That says something about you. And our most recent Sixth Ranger was Sho Rambo.
Mm-hmm. He was on our...
Extra.
We called it Extra Rangers, but it was really just like everyone else who couldn't be on the other lists.
Plus, I think
so it wasn't technically all Extra Rangers.
And I think by the time we did our Sixth Ranger list, he wasn't one yet.
No, he was not, because that was like the first one we did.
Mm-hmm. I really liked.
But he was number 2 on that list, on the Best of the Rest list. So.
Yeah, he has a lot of guilt behind his character, and he got Kuma killed and everything, and now we end up getting this character who's, he's funny, but he also has his very serious moments. And I loved him in the Deca Ranger team up because him and Deca Master are just like, that's all I needed. But yeah, I love Sho Rambo. He's just a really good mentor, although he doesn't always end up doing it the way that we would expect him to. He reminds me a lot of Part 2 JoJo in Part 3. He's just sort of an asshole. But he's also, a really good mentor for the main character. And, main characters.
He can throw down when he needs to.
Yeah. I really like Sho. He's a lot of fun. And I just appreciate it.
This might be a lopsided question, but who do you prefer? JoJo, old Joestar, or this guy? Or Sho?
God, they're the same almost. Oh. I don't know. That's a hard question.
Oh my god.
The main problem I have with a lot of the Six Rangers, especially nowadays, back when they first started getting introduced, they felt much more like something special.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're expected, and that's not always a good thing. In this case, a lot of them are getting introduced really early, and then they end up taking a back seat, especially to the Red.
More and more so these days.
Yeah. It's just like with Sho, it's just like you expect him to be just something a little bit better. And, just with all of them. But it's just like, especially the way that Misao, the world, was introduced, and then he ends up taking such a backseat to
the Red.
Everybody, really.
And everyone.
In that show. Well, mostly the Red. But
mostly the Red.
But
it's always the Red.
At the end of the day, we don't really end up blaming him that much. Just like there's a lot more, especially now, D-Power.
Mm-hmm.
Where they start off super strong, and then they end up getting the floor wiped for a good while.
It's the same thing that happens with secondary writers.
It's inconsistent. I hate inconsistency.
It is that for sure.
And that's like the biggest thing. I hate inconsistencies with like any character. I remember when Ginza, when Chicken Gold first showed up, he had like this super speed moment.
Yeah.
I think he only used it like once or twice after that, and we never got to see it again. I don't know. With Jay and Jin, they didn't end up getting a superpower mode. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of a problem in itself as well. It's just like, I really, really don't like inconsistencies where you end up making a character who was previously really strong when he ends up showing up, you end up making him super weak later on. I don't like that. Like, at all. Ever. And I don't know.
We've complained about this a lot before in our Randocast about secondary writers.
Yeah, and it still ends up translating. It's just like,
but it translates over here as well.
They keep forgetting the fact that you made this character super powerful when they come in, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like you're ramping up the people that they're fighting against enough. So we end up getting something like this where it's just messy. Mm-hmm. It's not bad, but it's just, it is. It's bad.
Are there any of the shows that we've mentioned that you think would have been benefited without the Sixth Ranger there?
Without one?
Yeah.
Magic Ranger and Ghost Ager. Or at least with Ghost Knight, I don't really end up liking with robotics ones because they don't end up feeling, especially because really just in this case, the rest of the robots who end up coming in end up being, a Sixth Ranger like Signal Man or something like that. They're an extra Ranger. Ghost Knight to me, even though he has a Ranger key, doesn't end up feeling like he should end up being a Sixth Ranger. I sort of don't like. That's like the one thing I ended up having a problem with. Yeah, I feel like he should have been classified much more as an extra because he could turn into a mech himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, and O Ranger just had a problem, so they tried to save it with Wiki, and we all know how that went. But it's like everybody else.
There's nothing that could have saved O Ranger, to be fair.
It's like everybody else.
Short of cancellation, there's nothing that could have saved O Ranger.
Everybody else is fine. They could have spaced out things a bit more. I feel like they introduced Uchi too early.
Yeah, he comes in pretty early, doesn't he?
Like episode 9. I think we end up getting Cyan before him, actually. Which is
fine.
Yeah,
we do.
But it's just like Cyan doesn't end up showing up that much.
He's only in like that one episode, and then you see him late towards the end.
Yeah, it's just like, I feel like they really should have done less with Uchi and made him because he came in like episode 9. They should have waited until like episode 15, where a lot of the other Six Rangers end up coming in. But yeah, like Six Rangers aren't a bad thing, like ever. I feel like they do end up bringing a little bit more to the actual story, but at the same time, it feels like they're not doing as much as they possibly could with them, and that's sort of problem.
Yeah, episode 9 is when they first showed up.
Yeah, it's just like when you end up making them so overpowered and then so depowered, it's just like you really are missing consistency, and I don't like inconsistency like at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Six Ranger is still good. I just really wish they would end up doing a little bit more with them, making them so they're not all the same. Where they end up coming in and immediately end up joining the team. I want another Outrage killer in there. I want something that's...
Is that what you want to see for the next one?
Yeah, I want something a bit more antagonistic than just, I'm here and I'm fighting you for an episode or 2 and I'm on your team. But yeah.
The end.
That's really it. Yeah, This is what I'm glad we did. Like, when I thought about it more, because I texted you, I was like, I sort of didn't want to do it at first, because, we sort of already did it with our 10 our 6 Ranger top 10.
And for those wondering, yeah, Marcus is the one who pretty much decides what we do and don't do on this channel. Trying to convince him to do something he doesn't want to do, you have a better chance of controlling the weather than trying to convince him to change his mind on something. So...
But yeah, this one I felt was needed, because we didn't really get to explain our feelings on Six Rangers as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, we end up getting to talk about them a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. I like the things that we end up doing with that. I feel like another rant will end up being in the future, though.
Oh, yeah. There's always a rant in the future.
Like, I did one on annoying Reds.
Maybe it'll be 3 Marcuses this time.
Who knows? Yeah, I did one on annoying Reds, but I feel like at the same time, I end up having to do one on Reds who end up taking up too much of the Spot King light. So, yeah, but... Yeah, I feel like that one will end up coming in soon. I'm getting more upset about it the more I think about it. So
well,
be prepared.
Try not to.
But yeah, that's all we really have for this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. I like this.
Yeah.
This has been another episode of TokuTalk, everybody. Let us know what you think about the Six Rangers as a whole in the comments below. Go check out our schedule on our reviews and everything. I'm going to end up putting in that on every single one of our things now, so people don't keep asking when we're going to review something.
Mm.
But yeah, this is a good one. I'm happy we did it. But yeah, let us know what you think about the Six Rangers. Let us know what you want us to do for TokuTalk. Something you want us to rant about. Top 10 list that you want us to do in the comments below. Go like our Facebook, Twitter. I'll eventually end up doing something with the website. A whole bunch of things changed on there, so I had to figure out what the hell to do now. But yeah, that's it for this one. Bye, everybody.